Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk has said that the Polish secret services confirmed the presence of regular units of the Russian army operating in Ukraine. No one can seriously accept information about separatists in Ukraine. There is information which has been strongly confirmed in the last hours that regular Russian army units operate in eastern Ukraine. This information, coming from NATO and also confirmed by our intelligence services, is rather unequivocal. U.S., EU, Ukrainian, and NATO officials for months have accused the Kremlin of sending arms shipments to the separatist fighters in the east of the country. Russian President Vladimir Putin has denied the claim. Putin also denied that Russian troops invaded Crimea in late February. In an appeal posted to YouTube on August 27, the mothers of Russian soldiers captured in Ukraine said they would do everything in their power to rescue their children from the dirty war in Ukraine. Ukrainian officials over the weekend released videos of 4 men who identify themselves on camera as Russian paratroopers.
Up to 15,000 Russian army soldiers are already fighting in Ukraine, according to Valentina Melnikova, the head of the Union of Russian Soldiers' Mothers. According to a statement released by the NGO, Russian soldiers are now being deployed to East Ukraine in large numbers. The disclosure comes after the Union also released a list of 400 named soldiers who have been killed or wounded already in Vladimir Putin's undeclared war against Ukraine. Meanwhile, 9 Russian servicemen captured earlier this week in Ukraine faced the international press in Kiev and said they were weary of the fighting. We saw with our very own eyes what is going on here. We were here, we talked to your boys. They talked to us. We realized that they are good boys and that there is nothing to divide us. And we understand that what is shown on TV does not correspond to reality. But we do not know how to explain it to those who are watching TV, and we will not be allowed to say anything. The captured Russians confirmed there is a war going on in East Ukraine, and they do not want to fight. It's war going on indeed. We are ordinary soldiers, and we don't want to fight. The highest command is fighting. It seems like some leadership is fighting. We are not informed at all. We were sent there. We either got lost or not. We were sent there. We didn't know the way and where we were going. And when it all happened, the shelling, and when we came to your boys, we realized that it's war indeed. There is a war, but by this time, we don't know who runs this war. The Kremlin, meanwhile, continues to officially deny direct involvement in the conflict and has sought to suppress coverage of funerals of Russian soldiers killed in action in Ukraine. However, public dismay is growing inside Russia as reports leak out of rising numbers of casualties.
Ordinary Russians are paying a high price for their president's imperial ambitions in Ukraine. The Russian ruble has fallen to an all-time low against the dollar. The Moscow exchange has expressed optimism, with a spokesman saying that the Russian currency will not fall any lower. The ruble fell to 37.07 versus the dollar. The downfall took the ruble below its previous record of 37 per dollar, which it hit after Russia's illegal annexation of Crimea. As I receive my salary in rubles, of course there is a substantial rise in prices. When you go abroad, this difference of the rising exchange rate affects the budget of a trip a lot. So I think it has influence on ordinary people.